Hey guys, not working today, so I'm not in my car, and thought I'd just sit down and try and give myself a bit more of a breathing space to talk about some things. I'm not exactly sure what those things are going to be, but when I'm talking in my car, it's like I feel so rushed to try and get out stuff and things that are up here that it doesn't always come. It never comes out in the way that I would like it to come out, and I know even now it's not going to come out in the way I'd like it to come out, and that's just going to be how it is, I guess. Anyway, when I was working yesterday, mowing all those lawns, I was in my head the whole time, like the whole day, just thinking about things and perceiving things constantly. And sometimes this can, make me feel a bit isolated from the world and maybe a little bit crazy. But luckily, I had a notepad with me yesterday to try and record some thoughts and ideas and things that were coming to me. And wrote quite a lot of things. And it all seems completely random now looking back on it. It's a pretty interesting list of things. Maybe I'll touch on a few of them in this video or in future videos. The first one I've got, which is controversial. INFJs are essentially selfish. Takes one to know one, hey? Well, we'll see. I'm going to have to delve into that one. Also, this one makes me laugh. Middle-aged men are the most emotionally repressed people. I would say they definitely are. Again, I'll have to go into that in another point. The importance of grounding. Well, this is a good one. It's not who you think you could be. It's the thinking that you're doing to figure out if that is who you think you are. That is the secret. That is the true reflection, especially when it comes to MBTI typing, of how to figure out what your type actually is. It's by being self-aware of the thinking that you're using to try and determine if you are this type or that type, that it will be the reflection of the type you actually are. That sounds obvious to anyone who understands cognitive functions, but it is the reason why people mistype themselves all the time. So, the reason that I wanted to make YouTube videos right at the beginning, going right back to the beginning of when I first started uploading videos on YouTube, was if I could use one word that I had in my mind that I wanted to explore through this medium of making videos, it would be authenticity. I wanted to try and make videos that were going to be quite authentic, and I guess I need to try and stick to that, because it's very easy for me to go off into many different directions and maybe lose sight of that was the core reason, an ideal that I originally had in mind, to allow me to kind of really, I guess, see through a lot of the stuff that my mind throws up and try and find the real things that I think are the most interesting to talk about. The reason for this is, as someone who's been growing up with the internet, and I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I'm on YouTube and I watch lots of videos, and there's the general perception I get is most of the people that you find on YouTube, especially the ones that are most prominent, they're fun to watch, they're entertaining, no doubt, and I'm not trying to say that I have anything against that. I subscribe to many YouTube channels that make me laugh and are funny and are entertaining and are silly and are a good way to kind of, relax, maybe kill some time. But for me, there's so much more going on in life, how I see it, and there's so much more going on in terms of the human condition. And I wanted to try and maybe be someone, I was like, I tried to think, what is the kind of guy or the kind of person that if I saw making videos on YouTube that I would think, oh, these are really cool videos because they're trying to talk about something that goes beyond just the kind of, hey guys, I'm another YouTuber, jump cut, ha ha ha, and all this kind of stuff, and look what I just bought, this is my new haul from Tesco's, I got a crumpet and a box of raisins, it's great. But to to balance maybe out of that, because there's a lot of that online and there's a lot of that on YouTube with something else. But the more I try and do it, the more I kind of confuse myself, because I start to self-analyze myself, and it kind of all gets pretty convoluted. So today I just want to share with you something that I hopefully can kind of crystallize a bit more of my thinking, or at least my thinking a couple of years ago. Because I've just, before I was started to make this video, I was looking through some things that I had written down a couple of years ago, because I write things down all the time. Although I'd say recently I have literally kind of I have become a bit addicted to the internet, and I'm not writing down things as much as I used to, which is not good, because it means I'm getting stuck up here, I'm not getting it out. But like, I've just got stacks of stuff. By the way, this is what I mean by being authentic. I don't show these kind of things to anybody. Nobody, not even my own family. Stuff that I write down. The brain and the body, forward thinking. So I was just looking through some of this, and I was reading it back to myself, just to see if any of it still resonated with me, or if any of it still made sense, or if my mind and my beliefs and values, or what I think about things, have changed over time. And I think, especially learning about MBTI and having a more deepening interest in it as well, I find it interesting as another form of kind of self-analysis. So I'm going to read you out something that I wrote. Again, it's quite a few years ago now, but I'm going to read it out to try and stay true to my word about being authentic, and open up my own mind for others to see, and then maybe discuss it, and how that relates to all of our minds and the human condition as well, so we can talk more about that. So here it goes. So this is something I've called at the time, Life and All That Jazz, Discovery of Self. What's the point of life? On one hand it can seem wondrous and exciting, on the other hand frustrating and meaningless. If life is merely an illusion, a cosmic playground for our minds to run riot, whilst hopefully learning a thing or two, then so much of life's seriousness seems absurd and a complete waste of time. People become so convinced of their own reality that they forget who and what they really are. Instead of listening to their inner voice, their intuition, and being aware of their own individual greatness, they cloud their mind and judgments with second-hand and external information. If a person bases all of their thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs on information and opinions gathered outside of themselves, then what actually remains of their true identity? How much of who we are is innate cosmic knowledge, and how much is collected thoughts, patterns, and rhetoric absorbed over our own existence? Can an individual ever have an original thought, or have all thoughts been thought before? I actually made a video on this a few years ago that you can find on this channel. So much of how we act and think is influenced by society and our peers. When asked, everyone will say they think for themselves, but that very notion of wanting to appear as an individual is the same driving force that leads people to dress how they dress and listen to a particular genre of music. People like to be individuals, just so long as they can belong to a collective of individuals who are exactly the same as themselves. MBTI. Right here, right there. Of course we are all human beings, so we all share a great many attributes that consist of and make up a person's personality. And these similarities we see in each other is how most of us determine our friends and who our partners are going to be. The problem arises when people lose sight of these core foundations that their own persona is built upon. I personally think that being able to differentiate between your true thoughts and feelings and your implanted ones can be the difference between happiness and unhappiness. In our modern society, our minds are under a constant barragement of information and stimuli, designed to affect the way we think and act. Television adverts tell us what products we need to buy. Celebrity culture informs us how we should look and what we should aspire to. Politicians tell us how we should live and behave and contribute to our societies. Religions tell us what scriptures to believe in, unless we want to risk the wrath of some omnipotent, I can't even say it. See, I can write this stuff down, but I can't say it. Omnipotent being. No matter how much of an individual likes to say that they think for themselves, the combined and collected effect of all of these external influences plays a big part in the kind of thoughts that we carry around in our heads day to day, which is social conditioning. Although we may never be free of this manufactured alter ego that influences so many of us in our lives every day, we can learn to mentally take a step back and act as a gatekeeper to the kind of thoughts that we allow to enter our own personal kingdom, which is our mind. We must also keep check on the thoughts that we have here inside, and maybe thoughts and patterns that have been living within our walls for some time, and left unchecked, plot to overthrow our own control. So keep your fortifications strong, and you can live in peace and contentment. The man who is king of his own mind is greater than any king of civilization. Okay, there we go. No one's ever heard that before. I think I still agree with a lot of it. Although I would say the concept of trying to allude that there is this concrete self that we all have inside of ourselves, that, you know, this kind of ultimate personality. And it's about, I said how I think our happiness is determined on relating more to that than the parts of our ego that we develop from social conditioning and from the outside world that influences. And for me, that's kind of a funny thing now, because I'm starting to realise the more I look into more detail into my own psyche, I'm starting to feel, and also learning about INFJ and the cognitive functions in relation to INFJ, it's starting to understand why I've had this search a lot of the time, and I'm also starting to feel that this self is that I'm even searching for is almost an illusion within itself. It's like a ghost, and it will constantly change, and that's the nature of the human ego, and that's why the human condition can be so confounding and so confusing. Yet at the same time, I still do hold on to this notion that there is something inside all of us that is individual to us, whether that is actually just a combined personality that is the result of all of these things inside of ourselves that actually has no inherent reality in or of itself, but it is still unique and individual because there is such a wide variety of information that can create it. Yet even so, I still do believe there is something that lies beyond that, behind that, maybe something that science and philosophy or whatever has still yet to completely determine. And it's why I have such an interest in any school of thought or in anything that can point towards that, which is why I originally became and am interested in MBTI, yet at the same time I do not take it so seriously to the point where it could become constraining. I like to play with it. But anyway, this video is probably going on for too long now anyway, and I just thought I'd just try something different and see if it came across, and maybe making what's going on here a bit more lucid to you guys, and in an aim to try to provide more authenticity to what it is that I'm trying to convey. So if you enjoyed that, please leave your thoughts and comments as usual, and I'll enjoy reading them. Thanks.